The Big Small Business Show was proudly brought to you by Syca. Choose a difference maker, choose a chartered accountant.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business. MTN.
Welcome to the Big Small Business Show, the show for all our fantastic entrepreneurs out there. And what I particularly love about each and every entrepreneur is that every single one of you started small, grew a little bit, went a little bit backward, grew a little bit more, grew a little bit more, went a little bit backward, and then grew and grew and grew. And that's the story of all our entrepreneurs. And so I really love the whole journey of the entrepreneur, especially the beginning, that exciting part in the beginning where you're trying to work out what your product set is, what the model is, etc. And here on the Big Small Business Show, we are trying to assist businesses at that early stage because those are the big businesses of the future. And one of those businesses is Inyota Holdings. Its founder is Dimpo Majogo, and she's here in studio with us today. But just a little bit more about Inyota Holdings. They're an industrial supply company. They do also industrial services, things like automotive paint, chemicals, hydraulics, sealants, abrasives for cutting and grinding, etc. Let's take a look.
Inyota Holdings, which was founded in 2021, is a business which supplies companies and manufacturing plants with industrial tape, safety wear, and so much more. Dimpo Majogo started the business 2 years ago after being introduced to the industrial automotive industry by a friend of hers.
A very good friend of mine introduced me to the business, taught me the tricks, and it was how I got into it. And then I found it very interesting because I like a challenge, and every day I'm always challenged to learn something new. In the beginning, how I identified the market was, like I said, it was introduced to me by a very good friend. So already he had put a client for me to approach, where eventually I had to learn that certain tools or whatever consumables are for automotive and industrial. So that's how I target my clients and my market in terms of what is it that I service that particular client with.
Currently, the business operates out of Dimpo's home, has no other employees, and a turnover of 500,000 Rand during the last financial year. In the immediate future, Dimpo sees the business getting out of her house into an office space.
I'm looking for an office space in terms of currently we don't keep stock of anything that we sell. Also now it costs a lot in terms of logistics to be able to run around and picking all that. Unlike if we could have stock in place, it's easier also even to service the clients in a limited time to be able to meet up with the deadlines that we're given.
Dimpo seeks guidance from Alon on how to manage her cash flow.
How you work on the numbers. I think most of the time we're very scared of dealing with numbers and being able to go out there and taking all the risks in terms of, I'm scared of debt. But in terms of business, you eventually, there's good debts, there's bad debts. So I think that is the advice that I would like to get to Ellen in terms of how do you also get investors to come into your business and be able to assist you in terms of growth and direction that you need to go to.
Welcome, Dimpo.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's start off with the first question. You're in what seems to be an industry with a low barrier to entry. So how do you actually compete? How does Inyota actually compete with its competitors on price? How do you do it?
I think mostly it's because of how I approached it was in a tailor-made service or pricing in terms of my clients, but I also learned to just take an advantage of being a Black-owned woman business in the industrial sector. So that has also been an advantage for me in a space where it's not easily infiltrated.
I know you can't believe it, but what happens if I were also a Black woman a supplier in the space, how would you compete with me?
My clients get a direct service where I custom make my pricing set on their specifics and brands and quality of what they do. So I think that has been my target in terms of approaching clients, of tailor customed pricing for each individual client based on their needs.
So I'm trying to understand what that means, is that you give me different prices depending on what I need when you say custom pricing?
Yes, in terms of what you need. My clients use different brands, different targets. So in terms of how I source and negotiate with the distributors or the manufacturers,
Yeah.
I'm able to adjust pricing in terms of my client's needs.
So if I had to ask you a very tough question about what value do you add to a client, okay, why do I use you? Okay, other than the fact, remember there's two of us. I'm
Yes.
a black female owned, you black female owned. What value do you add to me, or not to me, is to the client? What's the value? Is it the fact that they don't have to go and source it? Like, why don't they just bypass you and go straight to manufacturer?
Because most of the manufacturers don't do with end sellers, so I would source the pricing for them. So it cuts them the logistics of being able to look around for pricing and everything. So I just buy and deliver for them.
And how do you get your orders? Do they email you orders? What is it? Is there a price list that you send out, a website? How is your customer actually understanding what you're selling?
My customers, I would have approached my customers, which would normally be the buyers or the stores people, and I would get a requisition, do a quote based on whatever that they need, and then I would get a purchase order and a lead time to deliver if it's urgent or in terms of that. Then I would go order it from my supplier and deliver to them.
What are your top 10 products? What are your top 10 products?
My top 10 products are in the industrial paint and the automotive, the abrasives and the fasteners, upholstery, which is the refurbishing of the truck seats and making the truck beds.
Okay. So when you knock on the door, I'm going back to this thing. I know you asked for cash flow, but I'll get there just now. Okay. When you knock on the door, what's your pitch? What do you pitch to me? You say, use me because they would have had somebody else before. It wouldn't, like, that's what I'm trying to get. Like, you displacing somebody, right? Or partly displacing
somebody. But each client that I've approached would now look into what services they're getting currently from there and competitive in terms of what I would charge them. And in terms of if I could deliver on a specific time, which most of the time when I've gone, it would be, we wait for a certain time, would you be able to deliver at a required time? So that has been my advantage in terms of delivery, that I could be able to meet up to that delivery.
And who actually physically delivers?
I do sometimes.
In a car or van or?
In a car.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's you?
Yes.
Okay. You speak in the insert about, debt and an investor. You're looking for an investor. So if an investor, what would you say to an investor is the reason why they should invest? I'm the investor. Give me the pitch. I should invest in Inyota because
I've let go of my trust issues.
Yeah.
I think for me, being able to say I'm ready to get an investor in is I've done the trial and error and seen the mistakes, fallen and gotten up. So I'm able to confidently put my books here and said, I've erred here. And if somebody would come in, this has been in place and this is the growth and this is where I've been limited based on funding or in terms of being able to deliver on time or the capacity.
But what am I going to get in return as an investor? That's what I'm asking. Like, I know you've let go of your trust issues. I haven't let go of mine.
Of your trust issues. Obviously, there would be profit because if you look at the growth in terms of the supply from what the clients require, it has grown like in a space of, I'd look at the last 6 months, where if I would get purchase orders in a month of a specific, the increase has gone between 20 to 25%. So the growth is that's something that an investor can be able to see that from when she started, there was a growth and a lapse. And then from the lapse, this is how it has transitioned into the growth.
And you speak about your fear of debt. Just in the insert, you say, I've got issues around debt, and there's good debt and bad debt. Where does that fear come from?
I think it's more of my personal relationship with money. When you come from a space where you are a breadwinner, or in this case, I'm a single mother, so it has always been, if I flawed at this, then my kids would be the ones that suffer a lot. So you become very caged up in terms of being open to allowing anybody in. But in terms of understanding how business grows, and maybe from the lessons that I've acquired from learning and being around networking groups, is you do have to let go of that and let the company grow. Otherwise, I'm hindering the growth.
Dimple, we're going to take a break now, and when we come back, I'm going to give Dimple some things to think about in terms of a cash flow and perhaps some other parts of that business. Stay tuned.